Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time. As I get to ride home with you in the afternoon, you can just find us all over the place. We're on all of the social media sites. Find us there when they don't bump me off. But anyway, look for me there. You can also find us on the radio at iacradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You may also find us on television, Channel 182, Charter Communications, Abundance Television, which is syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And guess what? We have a podcast. It's the newscasters.com, the Newscaster Studio. As a matter of fact, I got one of the brainchilds with me right now. His name is Murray Edwards, who is with the Newscaster Studio. Murray, welcome back to the show. Thank you for letting me be part of the whole team.
Thank you for having me back, Donna. I forgot just how many places people can find your show. I mean, that's fascinating. Congratulations.
Well, we try to put all those avenues out there. So, and yeah, because we want the truth to get out there. Murray, I'm tired of and I know a lot of people are. I'm going to tell you what I think drove the election, the reason why President Trump won. And I've got an analogy which is actually set up by my daughter-in-law, because my daughter-in-law is from Russia. So she was brought here when she was 9 years old, adopted by the most wonderful people on earth, much better people than we are. My son married into a great family. Mm-hmm. So this is what I say and what she said, who actually set the alarm off. She said, you know what? I'm from Russia. She said, what do you think about some of these illegals probably voted for Trump? Because she lived in a communist country, right? She never wants to go back to that, ever. She said, once you've ever lived in a communist country, you're happy to be in the United States.
Sure.
They probably got all those free stuff and everything, but if they voted and somehow they got in, it probably backfired, because Trump not only got the electoral, he got the popular votes. What do you say about that?
I agree. Right before, we were talking about it right before we came on. I always felt pretty comfortable that he was going to win. Honestly, I thought it would be a little bit closer than the vote tally came out. Did not expect him to win all the swing states. He won all of them. All of them that were red, that were blue, he turned red. And I think that was a surprise. And the popular vote, it's hard to say. I mean, everybody thought Miss Harris was going to win the popular vote. He was going to win the Electoral College, and then naturally the alarms would go off, if that occurred. But it came out much pleasantly surprising than I thought it was. As I was telling you earlier, actually on election night, I went to sleep around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I honestly did not want to listen to all the pundits saying, well, he's got to do this or she's got to do that. And woke up around 2:30 or 3 o'clock so I could figure out, well, how close is it? And it had already been called. When I got up, I was sitting there going, well, this is a surprise. But he did quite well. He flipped a lot of minorities. He got a lot of Latinos. He got a lot of people of color. He changed some districts that had always been voting blue. They turned around and voted red. Down on the Texas-Mexican border, there's one district down there that had voted it voted blue since almost the creation of the country. Mm-hmm. And he flipped them to red. So if you take a look at the country now, with the exception of the coastal elites and where the coastal elites have moved, out of California into New Mexico and a few other states, the country is truly conservative. And that's what I think people got tired of hearing from the Democrats was there. And I've said it before, there are a few moderate Democrats out there, but they don't have a word to say because they can't afford to say anything because the left wing of the Democratic Party, the progressives, have taken the party over. And if you don't toe the line, they shut you down. And I think there were, quite a few Democrats out there that really got tired of that nonsense because as we were growing up, the Democrat Party was always the party of the middle class, the working people. And, and they got a certain subset of votes every election cycle. It didn't matter who was running. If they had a D in front of their name, they got the votes. And I think over the last 8 years, they have finally exposed themselves to, no, we're not the party of the working class. We're the party of special organizations and special groups. And all those special groups are the ones who have the money. Take a look at where all her money came from. She raised $1 billion. Now she's still behind by around 20 million, but she raised $1 billion and spent all of that. And who did she spend it on? Celebrities. She was paying these people to come to her.
Oh, yeah. Beyonce gets up there and doesn't even sing. I thought that was odd.
So they've definitely become the party of what you would call the social elites.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters to them is that group happy with what we're doing. We could care less about everybody else paying $5, $6 for a carton of eggs or $5 or $6 for a box of butter. From that standpoint, we don't care because we don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother us in the least little bit. And I think people just got fed up with it. So
let's talk about breaking down. Let's just break it down just a little bit, because I think there are certain key things that happened. And I'm beginning to think Biden was actually hoping Trump would win. I mean, I wonder, okay, now the fashion deal, okay, it's unspoken, it's unwritten,
sure.
But the wife of the candidate or the wife of the party will wear the color, either red or you're going to wear blue. So I'm wondering why Jill Biden wore red. They got their feelings hurt now because Joe got tossed to the side, and then they bring Kamala in. There's some bad feelings. I'd like to be a fly on the wall when he and Trump meet. They're supposed to be meeting today.
Yeah, no, I think they meet on Wednesday. I think they meet on Wednesday.
Oh,
I'm with you. I mean, I saw the picture of Jill all decked out in red on Election Day, and I'm going, if that's not a subtle sign that this is where things are going, because they had to be extremely upset when all those higher ups in the Democratic Party basically said, it's time for you to go.
They tossed him.
And I think he played a trick on them because they did not want Kamala. They wanted someone else. And he came out almost immediately and endorsed Kamala.
He knew she'd lose.
And everybody was going, oh, geez, this is not good. But because he had endorsed her, they can't bypass her. They started off with what the campaign of joy, and that quickly turned into hate and vitriol after about a month and a half. But it was probably one of the worst campaigns I've ever seen run in my life.
It was terrible. And another thing you don't go against a master. Trump is the master of getting the word out. He knows exactly how to get something and turn it around like he did. Okay, when he got tossed into jail. Okay, well, what does he do? He has a picture taken of him.
Yeah.
One of the best-selling T-shirts of all time was the one with Trump behind bars. Well, that messed up. That blew up in their face. Okay, and then Jill has to tell, because we've been fussing about Christians not getting out voting.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I think we had a flood of Christians that voted because of what she was dumb and what she said at that event. Those guys saying Jesus is Lord, Jesus is King, and she tells them they're at the wrong rally. They need to go to the small one down the street. That was pretty demeaning the way she said that.
I agree.
Okay. Just say you're at the wrong rally and don't add the other stuff on there. Well, that kind of finally woke up Christians, and they finally went out and voted as a whole.
I agree. And her not showing up at the Al Smith event and doing whatever that bizarre video was. I agree with you. As a whole, typically, they've estimated that as many as 40 million Christians don't vote. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know, but they don't vote. And so there was a push to try to get the Christians out to vote this year. Mm-hmm. And she helped with some of the nonsense because they truly attacked that specific group and showed that they really don't care about that group. And I think they said, we just can't afford for her to win the election. And so, like I said, I followed campaigns for years, as I know you have, but it was by far one of the worst presidential campaigns I think I've ever witnessed.
Amazing what happened. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to show you something. So I wanted to go take out the trash too. So when we were called trash, when we were called that,
yeah,
that catapult. I mean, it just catapulted. It just went into the stratosphere. And then, so I was watching. It was so fun to watch people's Facebook posts. To watch all my friends, and they would put stuff like, "I'm taking the trash out." I mean, all this. I mean, did they want to lose? I mean, they had to be somebody. Okay, every business has a smart marketing team. Okay, yep. And they said, "This is what you do to be successful. You don't do that. You know that this is what they do." And because I was involved with Contel Cellular, which turned into Verizon, and it was all about the marketing. You had to do and say the right things. Okay. Even the color of a logo had to be perfect. Yep. I mean, you had business cards done up. They would, you just threw your money away on business cards because that's not the right color red.
Yep.
That's just the way it goes. Yep. I don't know did they want to lose? I mean, it appears like they wanted to lose.
I think there were a lot of Obama folks on her campaign. And I don't think there's a love lost between her and the Obamas. And I think, was it intentional? I don't know. But if you go back and follow some of the things that he did when he was running for office, they're very similar. So I think we can truthfully say now that Obamanism or the Obama era is gone now, because some of the stuff that she tried, getting all the celebrities involved and stuff along those lines, that's what he did, to try to drill up activity. But when they all started coming out and chastising individuals for not voting for a woman, especially for a woman of color, then the attack on the minorities, on the Latinos, on whatever group, that just set the woods on fire. And
Obama shamed the black people.
Oh, absolutely,
black guys. Why would you do that? And he did it in public. So this is 101 on running a business. Of course, I understand business and government's two different things, but it should be. And so number one, business on, okay. So I have an employee does something they're not supposed to be doing. I don't shame them in front of the rest of the employees.
No.
We go to a private office and we sit down and we talk about it.
Yep. Absolutely.
You don't want to shame them.
Well, it was like, it was just truly amazing.
Oh,
and every time they made a mistake, Trump countered. We're going to take out the garbage. Trump countered. What does he do? He shows up in a garbage truck. He would go to the barber shops. He would go to the small little restaurants and the cafes, and they weren't. I mean, naturally they were staged. From that standpoint, all that kind of stuff is staged. But the left went bizarre. Oh, this is nothing more than a photo op. Well, what do you call the dude standing out in the middle of a field with a shotgun who can't load it, getting pictures taken of him? Is that not a photo op, folks? Come on, let's get all the facts and figures together. But it was truly interesting. Everybody that I talked to across the country thought he was going to win. But I'll repeat myself. I don't think anybody really thought, other than a couple of people, thought it was going to be an absolute landslide. And it turned out to be an absolute landslide on both the electoral side and on the popular vote side. So it goes to show you, though, Donna, that the pollsters, most of them are idiots. They have no earthly idea what's going on, other than about 3 of them out there who had been calling it from day one. They thought that he was going to win. When they called Iowa, all of a sudden she's up by 10 points in Iowa. You sit there and go, there's just no way. And she loses it by 8 or 9 or 10 points or something like that. So the pollsters were just absolutely dead wrong. The media was dead wrong. Everybody was dead wrong, pretty much. Now, if you're a conservative, you when election day came up, everybody was very optimistic, but they kept their mouth shut. Say, hey, gosh, I hope this works out the way we want to. But the left went nutsoid, and they continue to go nutsoid. I've never seen anything like it, but it's been fun to watch since last Tuesday. Really?
Yeah, it really has. I mean, I'm already tired of it. I'm tired of seeing whiny people act stupid. But let me ask you a question, because when you guys started the Newscaster Studio, very smart, wise move. I'm just telling you, and I'm tickled to be part of the Newscasters. I really am. I love it.
Being part of it.
But here's the thing. Okay, do you think the news media committed suicide to their own self? I mean, because I know very few people who actually watch The View, the regular news. I don't even watch local news anymore. I mean, I just gather my news sources another way. I don't even watch, Huntsville, whatever. If they shot themselves in the foot, are they going to be able to survive, is what I'm trying to say, because I don't think people are really watching it.
No, there'll be subsets. I mean, you do have some of the cable news, not the network news, but the cable news networks that have done everything they could, I believe, to try to be fair, with both sides of the story. But then you've got the CNNs and MSNBCs and the CBSs and whatnot. They're nothing but talking points for the left, nothing but talking points for the White House. I mean, the White House comes out with a statement, and it's like a totem pole. Starts at the top, works its way down. They're all saying the same identical thing, same verbiage. So I believe the majority of the media out there has lost any and all credibility that they had. Will they try to fix it? They can try, but the damage has already been done. And podcasting is starting or has grown in population, is grown to be more popular, because what you can get for the most part now on our platform, yes, it is primarily conservative, but you do get both sides of the story. We sort of lay it out there for you and let you decide, from, well, this is good or that's bad and that's bad. And that's the way it should be. It should be fair. Don't want to use somebody else's tagline, but fair and balanced. You ought to be able to see both sides of the story instead of the constant beratement that individuals get for listening to, say, this network compared to that network. And anything that you listen to over here is misinformation or disinformation, but everything you get over here is you got to listen to us. You're not intelligent enough to make your own decisions, so therefore we have to tell you what you need to think. And it's been going that way. I think over the last many years, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And I think the damage to the point is to no return. I think you're going to see more of what we're trying to do, maybe not in the same sense of what we're trying to do out there. I mean, you take a look at, he was on Joe Rogan. Trump was on Joe Rogan. What did it end up being over 2 or 3 days? 20, 30 million people.
That's a lot of folks.
And he just sat there and they had a conversation.
Do you think The View has anywhere near that many viewers?
Oh, good gosh, no.
I would say I've got more viewers than they do.
I never watched The View intentionally. The sad thing you'll see something, they'll say something that they think's overly intelligent, and some news network will show a 10-second or 30-second clip of it. It's absolutely hilarious. Now, one guy I do enjoy watching is Gutfeld. I do enjoy watching him. He's funny as all can be, and he's very pointed. Never watched The View, like I say, purposely, but he does a wonderful job when they get up there and say something stupid. So you'll see 10 or 15-second cut of something that they've said. But they need to be, I shouldn't say they need to be canceled. I guess they have the right to say the idiotic, stupid things that they want to say. Apparently they have an audience of some sort, but it's challenging to understand how all these people who are watching some of these networks, do they not have a brain?
No, they don't.
I
I'm
mean,
answering that pretty quick.
They're truly being brainwashed.
Mm-hmm.
When we were talking before we came on, I played around a little bit on social media over the last few days, and I'm stunned. There are women cutting their hair off. They're shaving their hair. They're painting their heads blue. You've got women who are claiming that, whether they're doing it or not, I don't know. They're claiming they're going to have their tubes tied so they can't have a baby while Trump is in office.
Can I say something that's going to come out pretty crude and rude? I hope they do, because they do not need to have kids. The kids would be so messed up.
You know, they had one. It's just truly amazing. Of course, they claimed, or said that because we didn't necessarily agree with the results of the 2020 election. Now, folks, think about this for just a second. Over the last 4 or 5 presidential elections, the most votes that a president has gotten is somewhere in that 70, 71 million votes. Mr. Biden in 2020 got 81, almost 82 million votes. Trump this time, I think, got 71, 72. Where did that 10 million people go to? So now they're coming out and saying, well, we got to do a complete recount of all the states. No, it doesn't work that way. So they're now saying everything that we put question marks on, they're now claiming that. The greatest one is Elon Musk is blowing up his satellites because his satellites were used to transmit voting data. And when it got there, they switched their vote from Kamala Harris to Donald Trump. So therefore, they have to blow up the satellites so they can erase the evidence. I'm just telling you, they thought, all we were concerned about is all of a sudden boxes of
We had evidence.
Yeah, boxes of votes were showing up, and all of a sudden there was a 10,000 vote differential. At 9 o'clock, it was one thing, and by 2 o'clock in the morning, there was 10,000 more votes, and nobody could, justify what it is. But to claim that they're blowing up satellites because they were involved in transmitting voter fraud, voters' votes, they are really off in La La Land.
They are. And I'll tell you something else. I don't know how any town in the whole wide world, I'm doing worldwide. I live in a town of less than 1,000 people. I promise you 110% of these people are not going to vote for one party or the other. Yep. Okay. There's going to be, first of all, you should not go over 100%. There's no way. There's no way. Okay. So how they came up with Biden actually getting like over 100% votes in some areas. How is that?
I don't know.
And nobody questions it.
No. And the next thing that people need to understand is there's 19 states across the country that do not require voter ID. She won 18 of those 19 states. Mm-hmm. No voter ID. So you can just walk up and say, hey, I'm Jane Doe, I'm John Doe, and I can vote. Well, you're registered? I don't. So, that's a little food for thought that
she just happened those, right?
Where there was no voter ID, she won. Where in the 30 some odd states that had voter ID, she lost. Mm-hmm. And, California just went past a law that says, you can't request somebody to give you a valid ID. They can just say, hey, yep, I'm who I say I am. Let me vote. So he's got his work ahead of him, and it really needs to be fixed. I mean, we need voter ID across the country. Illegal aliens, you must be a citizen of the country to vote. Go to paper ballots, go to day off ballot, voting. Mm-hmm. I will give kudos to the Republican Party this time. They played the game. Mm-hmm. They played the game like it had to be played, and they did a wonderful job.
I'm glad they did. But my son lives in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, And so he was in line. Of course, my son doesn't meet a stranger. He's, you put him in the middle of everywhere and he's going to make a conversation with folks. Sure. So what he was noticing is Black people who had Make America Great Again hats on. So there's one dude who was behind him, Black guy. And so wished him a good day. Said, how's the day going for you? And the Black guy told him, he said, it's going good. And I think Trump's going to win. You wouldn't have seen that 8 years ago. No way. No. You don't insult a group of people. You just don't do that.
And they did it constantly. They did it constantly. They kept throwing out the terms of college educated people.
Like everybody else is stupid.
One newscast I was listening to the other day, just briefly, said, well, who's the fault? Well, the people at fault are the non-educated, non-college educated people. There's a heck of a lot of non-college educated people. I've worked with some fantastic businessmen and women who don't have college degrees that have got a heck of a lot more sense than some that do have college degrees.
You better believe it. The smartest people I knew on earth were both my grandfathers. And one granddad had a 6th grade education. The other one had a 9th grade education. They both had fantastic jobs. The one with the 6th grade education wound up working with the USDA. Of course, now he wouldn't be able to get the job. He got to have a college degree. The other one was superintendent of this big, huge cotton mill in Oxford, Alabama back in the day. He did not have the college degree, but those men had good common horse sense, and they could figure people out. It didn't take them long.
And those college educated individuals are the ones who are flipping out.
They're brainwashed. So do you think? Let's go ahead and cut to a commercial break, and we're going to be right back in just a minute. Sure. I want to know your opinion. Do you think Kamala kind of did a little Hillary Clinton-ish thing after the election? We'll be right back in just a minute.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Because of your overwhelming support, our $14.88 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing. Including my classic standard MyPillow is only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge talk show where truth definitely, it just really does matter. It really is. I want to hear the truth. I don't want to hear a bunch of hogwash about what's going on in the world, even if it hurts my little feelings. I want the truth. You can find us on the radio at icradio.media. You can also, and by the way, we're Fox News affiliates. You can find us on television, 182 Charter. You can also find us syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com and all social media sites. We do all that too. Murray, I've got to say this. The Newscasters is growing like gangbusters. And let me tell you another way I know this is happening. So I had an interview with Linda Hansen, who was Herman Cain's person, and she does a podcast. And I said, she actually asked me about this. She said, I'd like to find out about that podcast you're on. Could I be on it? You want Linda Hansen on there. You really do. And she is all about the truth and justice in the American way.
Well, we've got some wonderful contributors all over the country. And they talk a little bit about everything from what's going on up in Washington State to what's going on down in the border. Any particular state, they'll talk about it. And they just sort of lay it out. We've had some wonderful people join us. Alveda King has joined us with her Vision Network. She's come on board. AP Stedham, he's come on board to talk about sports. He and Kelly have come on board now and are talking about sports. I'm talking with about 4 or 5 other folks that two are based in Washington, D.C. They can't wait because they've been involved in Washington politics for years and years and years. So they'll be on board with us, before too long. We may never be the biggest, but we don't necessarily want to be the biggest. What we want to be is to have good people from all over the country that are willing to share what they're hearing and to give them a voice, because so often the local media, the local newspapers, they're not controlled locally. Yeah, they're controlled by organizations like Comcast and others. Local newspapers now have been bought up by left-leaning organizations because you can tell the minute that what they print changes. And now George Soros was fast-tracked through the FCC to buy 220 radio stations. Many of those radio stations have conservative talking DJs or whatever you want to call it. I know in Philadelphia, Mark Levin was on a radio station in Philadelphia, right after the acquisition was approved, they took them off. So, George Soros is going to be part of quieting the radio waves.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way people are going to get their voices out is going to be via podcast. Now, you're not going to be able to shut down a Sean Hannity or Mark Levin or, off the airwaves completely. They'll always be there.
Mm-hmm.
But a smaller guy or gal who's got a show, they're going to be gone. They're going to be kicked off, and they're going to have to find a new place to go to get that information out. And that's what we're striving to do, is to be able to give those local, regional, national players, a voice to be heard out there, whether it's a part-time podcast. I don't do one all the time, but every so often I want to do one. We put it out there. Somebody writes an article, we'll put it out there. Todd Bensman, world known for all his things about what's going on with immigration down in Mexico and Honduras and whatnot. He writes an article, we put it up for him. So we've got a lot of folks who are doing that, along with our full-time contributors, who are putting shows up some put them up on a daily basis. Most are putting up one, maybe two a week, or else give us some and we'll schedule them out, from that standpoint. But we've come a long way. We went in, as you were part of our beta team, and it was greatly appreciated. We went live in December of the last day of December of last year. Mm-hmm. So we're getting close to celebrating our first year in full production, and awesome. To go from 10 to 12 to nearly 50 in less than a year, and with, more and more reaching out, saying, I like what you guys are doing. I mean, it's news, it's commentary, it's interviews, it's articles, it's opinion pieces. We got one guy who's doing music now, so we're trying to expand the footprint, but I could not be, more excited about where we've come in just a little over a year.
I think it's pretty awesome. And that's why Linda Hansen has opened her eyes to it. As a matter of fact, she said, you know what? People are just not watching the regular news anymore. They're going to podcasts. And she said, so what you guys are doing there, Murray, was a very smart business decision.
We're happy with it. And, the difference between, and I know there's huge podcasting platforms out there, but you get lost in their minutia. Mm-hmm. When you've got 20,000 podcasters on and they don't do anything to help you, you're just there. You've got to do it all.
True.
We're a little different. We're out there pushing podcasts out across all the social media platforms. You put a show up within, just a couple of hours, it's on just about every major social media platform. Not only that, it's in groups, it's in business groups, it's in political groups, so we reach out. So the contributor has the ability to share where he and she wants to share. And then we take it upon ourselves and we push it out. So it's a two-way street, from that standpoint. They help us naturally get our platform out there, and we help them get their content out there. And the other ones just don't do that. Yeah, give us $10 a month and, you can put your podcast up, but you're on your own. So we're, fine tuning. We're always in fine tuning mode. We did have to move to a situation to where usually, like if you would put a show up, it would instantaneously go up. Mm-hmm. Well, we've had some folks who have put 10, 15 shows up. Mm-hmm. Boom. It takes over what we call our spotlight section. So we did have to move to, I guess, a submission thing where we'll have a bank of them, and then we can turn around and schedule them up, from that standpoint. But that also allows us to do something that the other platforms don't do. We set the SEO, we do the metadata, and we do the hashtags on the back end side. So whatever the content of the show is, the hashtags and everything are all keyed to that particular show and that particular content. So it gives us a little time to, get that in there. And somebody puts something up at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's usually up by 10 or 11 o'clock that same day.
Well, you do have someone who I consider is not telling the whole truth. There is someone associated with you who doesn't speak the truth.
Who's that?
Victoria Lee Scott.
What? What has Victoria done?
Because she's older than I am. There is no way she can't be telling the truth. She's on her way to win this thing. So she's in a contest right now.
Yep, she is.
And she listens to this. She's gonna think, "Hey, Donna Feazell, I'm gonna get her." But Victoria is, wow. There's no way the age she says she is. She's got to be in her 30s.
I've never asked, because I don't ask anybody their age, because I am terrible when it comes to trying to pick what somebody's age is. But she had a birthday, I think last weekend or the weekend before, and she finally told me, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, geez, I'm still the oldest person on the platform," and she is an amazing lady. She used to be into bodybuilding and all that kind of stuff.
Well, she still is, and you need to listen to her about that, because she was telling me, I said, "Okay, I'm going to start working out again," and I said, "I'm going to use these bands right there," and she said, "Stop it." Yeah. And I said, "What?" She said, "Use them, but be very careful how you do that. Don't overdo it." And I said, "Why are you thinking I'm somebody who overdoes everything?" And she said, "Yeah, you're the type person who will overdo it." She said, "You will be very, very, very sore."
Yep.
I didn't think she knew what she's talking about. So she said, start with 10, then 20, and then on like that. Well, I'm going, it was easy to do 30. I'm more active than most people my age are. So I'm going to do 30. I did 30. I was so sore the next day I couldn't walk. So she knows what she's talking. You need to get out there and vote for her. I want to see her make this cover. She'll do it.
She's doing well. She's doing well out there. So. Mm-hmm. She gets a cover. I think she gets an article. It will be a wonderful thing for her. And she's setting the woods on fire out in California, of all places. Mm-hmm. That's where she's out of. But I'll never forget the first time we talked. I get her on the telephone, and because I was told she was, a Californian. And so I get her on the telephone, and the first words that come out of my mouth to her is, "There's no way in this world you're from California." She goes, "Well, how can you tell?" And I said, "That's either a Brooklyn accent or a Long Island accent." And she goes, "It's Long Island." I'm going, "That's what I figured. There's no way that voice came from and originated from Southern California. Ain't no way." But she's done quite a bit, and she's been very successful at what she's been doing. So we have a good team in the background trying to do what we're attempting to do. And, all I can do is, ask you folks to go visit our website and then pay attention to just sort of scroll through there and see what the heck is going on.
I like the different personalities you guys bring to the table, because there's Clint Day, who's going to be pretty mild-mannered.
Yep.
And so, Clint is, and I love interviews with him as well. So I love my interviews. I get to the three with you. They're fascinating interviews. I wanted to ask you your opinion about something. Sure. Okay. So you remember when Hillary didn't win, and Hillary didn't go out and see the fan base that she had, which I felt was an insult, because those people were working day and night trying to get her in. Mm-hmm. And business 101, you take care of the people who get you to the top. Yes, you take care of them.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Kamala did the same thing. She had all those people who had been out there at the college, since some of them like 4 p.m., and she didn't show. They didn't get a phone call. Every time somebody drove up, you could see the look in their face. They started getting really anxious, and they finally just started going away. What was that all about? Hillary 101?
I guess so. I think she was probably in shock. I think she thought she had this thing won. And when you listen to some of the people that were on her campaign, they thought she had this thing won. And you get deeper into it, to the people who truly know what was going on, they didn't think she had a chance. Mm-hmm. And it proved them right, but when you don't run a campaign when you pay a celebrity $1 million or $10 million, or you redo a podcaster's platform for $100,000 and just not be accountable for anything you say. People were mad that they showed up at the Beyonce concert. They thought she was going to sing. They truly did. They thought she was going to sing, and she gets up there and speaks for 3, 4, 5 minutes, I guess. Then turn around and gives her a hug and walks off the stage. One thing you will say, or I can say, is if you listen to or watched a Trump rally, there was one celebrity. There might be other people speaking, but there was only one celebrity, and it was Mr. Trump when he got behind the microphone. And
yeah, but he was calling people out in the crowd who were celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was talking about, he was calling their names out. Well, and he was uplifting them. I don't want to have to pay you $10 million to get out and talk 3 minutes and then leave. What are you going to do to my? That's another thing that spoke volumes. Okay, what are you doing with my tax money?
Yep.
I mean, because you should be running that campaign on a shoestring. I don't care if you have $50 million. You still need to show that you're accountable, that you know how to spend money. Is that how you're going to spend the money when you're in office?
Well, I made a comment to somebody the other day about that one fact, that she raised $1 billion. She spent over $1 billion. I think he spent 500 or 600 million. That's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. That's still a lot of money, but that's half of what she spent. And now she's out there, I understand, doing campaign donations from people, claiming she's going to do a recount, but she needs, money to do the recount. Well, she's already conceded. She's already conceded the election. To my knowledge, there's not a location to where, because you can ask for a recount, but it's got to be in a certain percentage, and it's a very low percentage. Of difference between who won and who lost. I'm not aware of any county or any state where that particular percentage is in play. Now, she's got Mark Elias on her staff, and he's well known for, trying to sue people for campaign issues and stuff of that nature. I mean, that's all he does. But it was a shame, because that's one of the comments I made. He said, well, she spent more money than she took in. That's sort of like what the Biden administration did. They took in not so much money, but they're spending more. We're spending more now on the interest on our national debt than we are for our budget for the military. Think about it.
Do you really want to hire somebody for your company who's going to spend more than you're bringing in?
Well, my philosophy in the private sector, if you're not doing your job, you get fired. Plain and simple, you get fired. Biden didn't fire anybody. After the debacle in Afghanistan and all the problems that have occurred, he's not fired anybody.
If you'll think about it, he kind of fired Kamala by bringing her in.
Well, that's a true statement. Yeah. And most business.
But that's just because there's remorse.
Yeah, maybe so. But, in a business, you take a look at the different departments you have. If that department's not functioning properly, you either rearrange it or you terminate it, and you save some money. Federal government has got over 450 agencies. Many of those agencies are doing the same identical thing that another agency does. It's just amazing just how much money they put. $1.7 trillion of rules and regulations on the business community. That's money that you wouldn't have as a small business owner, because you got to comply by those rules. It costs money to comply by those rules. So them claiming they're for the small person, for the small business owner, for everybody in between, it just doesn't exist. They could not function. They cannot handle money. They want to spend more than they take in, but that's a typical Democrat. It's a typical liberal, and unfortunately, it's some Republicans are the same.
I'm not
going to, give them, a clean rag, because they also are notorious about spending more money than they should. But I do think people are paranoid. I'm gonna have to go here in just a second, but it's to the point to where the people, I call it the Washington machine. Okay. They know he knows. He knows they know. And for them knowing that he knows, they're in full panic mode.
They are scared to death. Let me ask you about this. And I know you got to go, but I wanted to ask you a question about Terry Sewell.
Yeah.
And Robin Lydecker. Okay. and this is why, to me, it should be fair. Everybody should have the same amount of money going in, and it's up to them. If they blow it halfway through, well, then they lose it.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not fair the amount of money Sewell had coming in versus Robin Leidiger.
That's a true statement. I think I had heard that when the campaign started, she had a checkbook, or she already had $1 million in the bank to run her campaign. And I'm not really sure where Robin got to, but she was, there's no way. There's no way that, and this goes situation for any person trying to challenge an incumbent. That incumbent is always going to have a bank of money that they have saved up in some form or fashion that they can use. You're right, it's not fair. It should be equal.
But this incumbent has the people in her district living in poverty.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this looks third world country out there.
Yeah, it's
Why do they keep voting for her? I wouldn't care how much money she had. I would have to see there are other areas of this earth that has better areas than I have. I would have to vote for a better way.
I think it gets down to, you've got a group of individuals who have not shifted, and they've always voted Democrat.
But their kids, their successful kids, are moving out of the area because they know they can't be successful in that area. And then you wonder why people don't move in. Successful people don't want to live there.
The average mean income in District 7 used to be about $37,000 for a family. And when they redrew the district line, she picked up part of Tuscaloosa and she picked up a little bit more of Jefferson County. That jumped the median income to about 52 or 53. But before the realignment, think about that. The average mean income for folks was about $37,000, $38,000. Hard to live on $38,000, $39,000. So, I mean, it's one thing if you're retired, you got your house is paid for and stuff like that. But if you've got kids, you're trying to buy a home, you're trying to buy a car, it's awful tough to do that on $37,000, $38,000. But she had the powers to be. I mean, I had forgotten in all sincerity that she was on Shelby's staff. A lot of people don't understand Mr. Shelby was a Democrat long before he was a Republican. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure there's still a connection there in some form or fashion. And, she was funneled some funds, through him. I don't have any factuals to sit there and say, but you have to assume that, some money came from some of the powers to be that she had made contacts. This is her, sixth re-election, I think, 12 years now. She's
living off of the government is what she's doing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely she's doing that. Let me ask you a quick question. I know you've got to run.
Yes, ma'am.
How quick can Trump turn it around once he gets back into the office?
I think it depends on how quickly he can get his people in place.
I think they're already in place.
I think he's got them ready to go. I do like Miss Stefanik. I think she's a wonderful lady. I think she would be a wonderful, person at the UN. One thing concerns me is that's one less Republican vote in the House. Yeah. And she lives in New York. So she may be eventually replaced by a Republican because she is in a red area. But Hochul is going to put a Democrat in there for however long she can. But personally, I would not want to take anybody out of the House or the Senate because the margins are going to be razor thin. You need those people supporting you. But his pick for his chief of staff, she's fantastic lady. He just named, I think Miller is now going to be the assistant. So he just named his immigration czar. He's unreal, from a standpoint of wanting to get things done. I think he's got people lined up. A lot of it depends on who's the majority speaker. The majority of the Senate's going to be. Is it going to be Cornyn? Is it going to be Thune? Or is it going to be Scott? I hope it's somebody other than Thune and Cornyn because they're lifelong. They've been in the Washington sewer or whatever you want to call it for over 20 years each, over 20 years. So I'm hoping it's, maybe, the gentleman out of Florida, Scott out of Florida. but we'll have to find out on Wednesday, I guess.
What could the Democrats do between now and the time that Trump takes office to mess everything up?
Anything they want to, Donna. They still have the control. They still have the power. He still has to pin. He still has to pin. So he could start rolling out executive orders like there's no tomorrow. I fully expect he's going to reopen the border and let the people continue to flood in. He knows we've got people in the DOJ, those different ABC agencies who are going to do whatever they want to. They're going to try to find a way to where Trump would not be able to close an agency or the department and fire all those people. And people need to understand that everybody works for the federal government, works at the pleasure of the president. He should have the power and the authority if he wants to end the Department of Education, which I hope is one of the first things he does, starts thinning out all those agencies, because the federal government is the number one employer over the last 4 or 5 months. But it's a 2-to-1 ratio. For every one person hired in the private sector, 2 are hired in the public sector. That's got to stop. That's got to stop.
It's got to. But I think do you think he's putting some form of fair tax in? I'm talking about no taxes on tips and also for Social Security.
I don't know. I've heard the fair tax mentioned. Of course, he said there's not going to be any taxes on tips, not going to be taxes on overtime, not going to be any taxes on Social Security. He's going to have to get that passed. That's going to be legislation. That's why I say he needs to leave as many people as he can that are his supporter advocates in the House and in the Senate. Because we know there are some folks who have an R in front of their name that are not ours. They just run that way.
Absolutely. Murray, I know you've got to go.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, but I would keep you on for 5 hours. Fuck you. Please, take your time. But thank you for being with us, Murray.
I enjoyed it. Thank you, Donna. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely appreciate you watching Donna's Edge on IAC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You may find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. By the way, if you'd like to get in contact with Murray or any of the Victoria, anybody, and you want to have your own podcast and you speak the truth, I'm pretty sure they'd want to hear from you. So go on ahead and get in contact. Contact me and I'll get you to them. I've got them on speed dial, by the way.
Yes,
so I'll be able to get that to happen. Thank you guys so much for watching. You take care.
Bye-bye.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. Or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.